Meditation and Spiritual Life, Swami Yatiswarananda. Subtle desires. Sometimes, if we pry into the very depths of our mind, we may see some subtle desires lurking in the shadows of the mind in seed form. And if we are not very careful in our conduct, these will rise someday, sprout nicely, and create a lot of trouble. Before the realization of God, there may be tremendous control, but the desires and tendencies as such have not yet been annihilated. They are only kept under check. So, before realization, we are never safe and are sure to slip one day if we do not use the greatest discrimination in our whole conduct and in our associations and dealings with people. The devotee should never be too bold, even if he is a person of the greatest control. And even for such a person, there should be a definite way of conduct, definite rules to be followed, so that he may never lapse into something evil through careless ways or bad associations. The Gita says, rasa, taste, doesn't leave us easily. And really speaking, even in the man of greatest control, some taste for the sense objects is left in seed form until it is all burnt in the fire of direct superconscious realization. After that, there may be the semblance of desire, but like a burnt rope, it doesn't bind any longer. The contents of the consciousness of such a man have become wholly different, and he can no longer be affected. Even if we know that the seed may sprout again, we should not become hopeless. This should not make us conscious. This should only make us conscious of the immensity of our task. We should say to ourselves, so difficult is this task that I must have greater and greater determination, one-pointedness and alertness. We should neither exaggerate nor minimize the danger. Be realistic and strong in dealing with yourself. Sometimes we see in our dream, all of a sudden, an awful picture which had all along been lying in the hidden recesses of our mind. Sometimes during meditation, hideous forms come up, rise in the mind and make us shudder. There is such a lot of dirt and filth in the very depths of our mind, and all this will come up one day, rise to the surface and try to drag us down. We should never get unnerved by this, but should take it calmly and go on with our spiritual practice. Even the person who has the greatest control but has not got the highest realization should always be on his guard. Because the trouble may arise any moment in its subtlest form through some unguarded association with others, through a word, through something seen. Be always guarded, always watchful. We are mostly affected first in a very subtle way, and then it goes on growing and growing, becoming larger and larger, assuming enormous proportions, and finally we are swept away. This can happen any moment when we are not properly guarded and watchful. The person who is really guarded, who is wide awake, notices even the subtlest desires that arise in the slightest degree and kills them in their causal form without even allowing them to rise fully in the mental plane. We should all try to control the desires even in their causal state, and this we can never do if We do not become really watchful and discriminating. If we are really watchful, we will be able to detect the trouble in its causal form and kill it there itself. This is possible only if we are intensely devoted to God and think about Him constantly. When we do this, our mind becomes perfectly alert. Sri Ramakrishna's divine spouse, Sri Sharda Devi, who was the perfect embodiment of purity, used to say, if a man constantly thinks about God, by which way can evil come to him?